Want to know why Selenium speakers are needed now? How do the folks at Slack do continuous load testing? And have you heard of the OWASP tool that helps you with security scanning of third-party dependencies? Find out the answers to these and all other end-to-end full pipeline DevOps, automation testing, performance testing, and security testing in 10 minutes or less in this episode of the TestGuild news show for the week of May 18th. So grab your favorite cup of coffee or tea and let's do this. This episode of the TestGuild news show is sponsored by the awesome folks at Applitools. Applitools is a next-generation test automation platform powered by visual AI, which increases quality, accelerates delivery, and reduces costs with what I think is the world's most intelligent test automation platform. But seeing is believing, so make sure to click on the link down below to create your free account now. And while you're there, why not leave a comment, and subscribe to get alerted every time I release a new episode. First up, automation news. All right, this is for all the Playwright automation engineers out there. Playwright version 1.21 is out and includes things like universal retrying assertions, text, has a new scale screenshot option, image diff slider, and a bunch of other things. And you can actually watch an overview of the new version on YouTube as well.
Hi, Joel.
Oh,
Hi, everybody. We had a new release.
So thank you folks at Playwright for continually updating this awesome automation test tool. And it looks like the folks at Ministry of Testing are up to something. I've seen a few posts on this new way of training that they've been promoting. For example, Richard Bradshaw recently posted on LinkedIn that they're working on reshaping software testing training. And to learn more, he actually has a whole post on this topic of what they actually mean by reshaping software testing training. And it looks like a really cool open source curriculum, and it just goes into detail why this is needed, what the plan is, and also how to get involved. So really good opportunity now to get involved in that because it seems like a really cool initiative, once again, from the folks at Ministry of Testing. So I recently found a report that actually analyzes more than 340,000 bugs that were collected. So let's dive in really quick to some of that data. So this is based on the State of Digital Quality report, which is by a company called Applitools. And based on their analysis of what they've seen, functional bugs accounted for 68% of the issues found. The research gathered data from over 13,000 mobile devices and 1,000 unique desktops running 500 versions of operating systems. And they found that the majority of issues that could be traced to functional bugs compared to visual, 17%, and content, 9%, crashes, 4%, and lag and latency, 2% issues that collectively only add up to 32% the report found. The report also mentions that screen readers comprise 66% of all accessibility bugs compared to keyboard navigation issues and insufficient color contrasts, which account for only 12%. And based on data they collect from customers, nearly half of organizations, around 47%, identified currency and number formatting as the most valuable bugs to identify when it comes to localization. And also has a quote from Luke Damian, who is the Chief Growth Officer for Applause, who said when it comes to testing in general, there's still not enough focus on user and customer journeys. So definitely check out that report and all the results in the link down below. So I don't know how many folks have heard of Hexawise. They've been around for a while. I've heard a lot of great things about them. They actually were just recently acquired. So some really quick news here. Doesn't go into how much it was actually sold for, but the company Indera is who acquired them. They also have a lot of other DevOps testing tools they've been acquiring, which includes things like TestRail, X-Ray, X-Reporter, Travis CI. So Hexawise is kind of unique in that it really helps you with creating test design, and it helps you find the most efficient mix of test coverage and efficiency. So if you haven't checked it out, once again, I highly recommend you do, and I'll have a link for it in the first comment down below. So I was recently speaking to one of my favorite open source contributors, Manoj Kumar, and he mentioned that Selenium Conf is still looking for speakers. So if you don't know, Selenium Conference is back. They're now accepting proposals for talks and workshops and training for Selenium Conference India 2022. If you do anything with Selenium, you probably have encountered a unique challenge and how you've overcome it using Selenium or some sort of testing technique that I'm sure the folks at Selenium Conf would love to hear about. So if you haven't submitted your talk or topic yet, I highly recommend you do. I think it's a great opportunity to get yourself out there and share with the community your automation awesomeness with the rest of us. So I highly recommend you submit your proposal. You only have 1 week left. Next up, performance and site reliability news. So the folks at Grafana K6 keep releasing awesome blog posts. This latest one is deployment time testing using Grafana K6 and Flagger. And to be honest, I didn't even know what Flagger was, so that's why I love reading these type of articles. The Flagger looks to be a progressive delivery operator for Kubernetes. And this article goes into when building and deploying applications, one increasingly popular approach these days is to use microservices in Kubernetes, and it provides an easy way to collaborate across organizational boundaries, and it's a great way to scale. However, it comes with operational challenges, and one big issue is that it's difficult to test the microservices in a real-life scenario before letting production traffic reach them. So this post actually dives into the tools that they use at Grafana Labs to test integration between their various services at deployment time for every change set, using Grafana K6 to test their services and Flagger to handle the interactions with Kubernetes. And a whole bunch more. So if you're using K6, if you're using Kubernetes, I highly recommend you check out this article for sure. And let me know what you think. So this next article is a follow the money segment. It's how app performance monitoring platform Sentry nabs $90 million. If you don't know, Sentry is an application performance monitoring platform used by some of the world's biggest companies. It's raised more than $90 million in Series E round funding and helps large companies track all their software behavior metrics and troubleshoot errors, resolve performance bottlenecks such as ill-performed API calls or slow database queries, and more. So it's really used to optimize software performance. It's just another clear sign that we've been talking about for a while here, and what I predicted earlier this year, how there's a more of a focus on all things that can be tested, functional and non-functional, and performance is one of these that really have bubbled up. And I've seen a lot of companies acquiring performance companies, but I'm also seeing a lot of these monitoring tools being acquired as well. So as I keep saying, if you're not into performance, if you're not doing performance testing at all and you're a tester, it's definitely a skill that I think you need, and it's really going to benefit you going into the coming years. So speaking of that, there's also been an emphasis on getting performance testing integrated in your software pipelines. So a lot of companies are starting to embrace continuous load testing, but it's a really tricky problem if you've never done it before. But I found an article that actually shows you how a company, Slack, actually integrates continuous testing and how they've done it to build load test infrastructure to make it so it's easier to do. And I'm not sure if you've heard, but Slack has been really working to make load testing a core concern for all engineers. And they're actively moving from a reactive approach to performance to a more integrated effort. And this article really comes in handy in how they're actually doing that. So I really think this article is a must read, and I highly recommend you check it out. Next up, security testing news. So this next article comes your way via LinkedIn from my friend Akshay, and he talks about how in recent light of Log4j issues, it's important to take care of third-party dependencies. I couldn't agree more. And he actually drops a link to a tool that helps you exactly focus on security scanning of third-party dependencies called OWASP Dependency Check Project. It's simple to use, free, and he's found it great value to use. I definitely agree, really a great resource. So thank you, Akshay, for notifying me and letting me know about this awesome tool. And speaking of OWASP, there's actually a teachable moment here on how path traversal flaws were found in OWASP Enterprise Library of Security Controls. So obviously OWASP jumped on this right away. They fixed the vulnerability in its Enterprise Security API that, if unresolved, might have been abused to run path traversal attacks. And even if it had limited impact, they did list out some lessons to learn, which you could take away from as well. While the vulnerability in play is unlikely to be exploited or even less likely to cause major harm, the bug did offer lessons for software developers. For one thing, application developers using libraries should use software composition analysis SCA tools and know its limits. Some SAA tools only find vulnerabilities reported in direct dependencies, but not in transitive dependencies. And if you decide not to patch, then you need to do deep dive analysis to see exactly how vulnerabilities in some libraries impact your application and what types of mitigation controls you could put into place. All right, for links of everything of value we covered in this news episode, head on over to the links in the first comment down below. And while you're there, make sure to check out our awesome sponsor, Applitools, free account offer, and discover how to take your automation testing to the next level, leveraging visual AI. So that's it for this episode of the TestGuild News Show. I'm Joe, and my mission is to help you succeed in creating end-to-end full-stack pipeline automation awesomeness. As always, test everything and keep the good. Cheers.